I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them?
Right. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
That was a clip from a spine-chilling interview with Jeffrey Dahmer, born May 21st, 1960 and died November 28, 1994. He was also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster and was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between the years of 1978 and 1991. Many of his later murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts, typically all or part of the skeleton.
The recurring fantasy of meeting a hitchhiker on the road and of taking him hostage and doing what I wanted with him. And I never in my wildest nightmares thought that it would become a reality.
Dahmer committed his first murder in 1978, 3 weeks after his graduation. On June 18th, Dahmer picked up a hitchhiker named Steve Mark Hicks, who was almost 19. Dahmer lured the youth into his house on the pretext of drinking. Hicks, who had been hitchhiking to a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, Ohio, agreed to accompany Dahmer to his house upon the promise of a few beers with Dahmer, as he had the house to himself. According to Dahmer, the sight of the bare-chested Hicks standing at the roadside stirred his sexual feelings, although when Hicks began talking about girls, he knew any sexual passes he made would be rebuffed. After several hours of talking, drinking, and listening to music, Hicks wanted to leave, and Dahmer didn't want him to. Dahmer then bludgeoned Hicks with a 10-pound dumbbell. He later stated he struck Hicks twice from behind with the dumbbell as Hicks sat upon a chair, and when Hicks fell unconscious, Dahmer strangled him to death with the bar of the dumbbell, then stripped the clothes from Hicks' body before exploring his chest with his hands, and then touching himself as he stood above the body.
Having these obsessive thoughts when I was about 15 and 16, and they got worse and worse.
What were your fantasies about?
They were sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance. They became reality.
Was there pleasure in that fantasy?
There was excitement, fear, pleasure, all mixed together.
The following day, Dahmer dissected Hicks' body in the basement, and he later buried the remains in a shallow grave in his backyard, before several weeks later unearthing the remains and paring the flesh from the bones and dissolving it in acid before flushing the solution down the toilet. He later crushed the bones with a sledgehammer and scattered them in the woodland behind the family home.
Just heard him say that his sexual preference had nothing to do with the killings.
No.
He has not come to terms with his homosexuality.
Never understood it. There was no use trying to fight it because I couldn't rid myself of it. It was too powerful and persistent.
Do you dislike it?
Yes, it's caused a lot of problems for me. A lot of conflicts and unanswered questions.
Although he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypical personality disorder, and a psychotic disorder, Dahmer was found to be legally sane at his trial. He was convicted of 15 of the 16 murders he had committed in Wisconsin and was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment on February 17, 1992. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by Christopher Scarver, a fellow inmate at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. Upon learning of his death, Dahmer's mother Joyce responded angrily to the media. "Now is everyone happy," she stated. "Now that he's bludgeoned to death, is that good enough for everyone?" she states. The response of the families of Dahmer's victims were mixed, although it appears most were pleased with his death. The district attorney who prosecuted Dahmer cautioned against turning Scarver into a folk hero, noting that Dahmer's death was still murder. And on May 15, 1995, Scarver was sentenced to 2 additional terms of life imprisonment for the murders of Dahmer and another inmate, Anderson. Dahmer had stated in his will that he wished for no services to be conducted and he wished to be cremated. So in September 1995, Dahmer's body was cremated and his ashes divided between his parents.